Now, given that the writer's strike and everything going on with SAG and AFTRA is really creating a lot of problems, not just for Disney and Lucasfilm, but for everything happening over in Hollywood, for all these major studios, and all of their upcoming movies, TV shows, etc., that are really coming to a halt. Even Deadpool 3, by the way, stopped filming because of the whole entire writer's strike and everything happening with SAG. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support, and let's get right into the subject. Now, we know that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are completely banking on Star Wars Ahsoka to essentially course correct the Star Wars franchise, and a lot of people weren't all that impressed by the latest trailer that dropped a couple of weeks ago that really didn't resonate well with fans. A lot of people were really kind of put off on how it was really focused on an all-female led cast and stuff like that, so there's mixed reactions on this show. There's no doubt about that. Some people love the look of the trailer, other people hate what they actually sensed in that trailer by Lucasfilm and Disney. However, there's more complications rising over at Lucasfilm as part of Jon Favreau, of course, going into head-to-head with Disney's higher-ups, and exactly what kind of trouble he recently got himself involved in with The Mandalorian Season 4. Let's get into it, because we know that there's a lot of drama happening with Star Wars right now. A lot of cancellations, a lot of projects being put on hold, a lot of announcements also being delayed by, of course, D23's event that will be shifted over until 2024. So it's not really a good, roadmap right now for Star Wars, as they really have no clue which projects are going to get made fully yet. So on top of this, with both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni attempting to course correct the Star Wars franchise with the Ahsoka series, one big obstacle that has put Favreau into quite a bit of trouble at Lucasfilm has much to do with the Disney higher-ups. Now, one significant development involves Favreau growing very frustrated with Disney after they limited the budget of Mandalorian Season 4 that is preventing Favreau from telling the story he wants to tell, since it is going to be an ensemble cast full of Legends characters and new characters alike, with the return of Luke and Din Djarin as well. After the failure of Indy 5, all Lucasfilm projects moving onwards for the next 3 years are said to hold major budgeting constraints, and they don't want to have Mandalorian 4 go over budget unless Ahsoka comes to be a huge success. Favreau, however, recently spoke up and complained to the Disney higher-ups in one of the recent meetings that they had, that Favreau gave Disney an ultimatum that he would be willing to walk off the Mando 4 project if they don't give in to upping the budget for Mandalorian Season 4, since the limitations are also limiting his capability of telling the story that he wants to tell to the audience. Disney is said to have no intention at all of providing a higher budget for Mandalorian 4, and that if Favreau keeps up with this ultimatum, they are ready to replace him as the writer of Mandalorian Season 4. Even though Favreau is still attached to several other projects as a writer, he could potentially lose the Mandalorian series. Now, let me just stop right here quick before I get to the next development, is that we know that Favreau is having a very tough time with Mando 4. He wrote the entire script, they were about to go into rewrites, and then the writer's strike came into play, and everything happening with SAG and AFTRA, and now everything is being pushed. He did confirm about a week ago to us that we are not going to see Mando 4 at least until 2025. At least till the first quarter of that year. That's a very long time. And I think a lot of fans could easily forget about the show if they're not going to have any kind of in-between Mandoverse era projects. We have The Acolyte next year, we have Andor next year, and those are really the two main Star Wars shows for 2024. Nothing really pure Mandoverse related. However, this brings things, of course, up to the next level, is that Favreau is growing very tired of Disney's shenanigans. They're doing the same exact thing, by the way, with the Rey film that has put Daisy Ridley into a bit of trouble. We talked about that 2 weeks ago, of how she is being treated like a main character, but she is written as a supporting character, so she's being paid a whole lot less than what she was paid, of course, than for The Rise of Skywalker. And that's really causing more problems between Daisy and herself speaking up to the Disney higher-ups, and that's causing more trouble. And they're already ready to recast her if she has to walk out. Same exact thing applies here with Jon Favreau. Now, even if the worst-case scenario happens where he keeps up with his ultimatum, he doesn't take, you know, a stand against Disney anymore, or if he just kind of gives up on talking to them and just leaves, then they're going to have to replace Jon Favreau, obviously. But he's still attached to other projects out there. Now, people are beginning to really wonder where Star Wars is going to go at this point. You have basically the Ahsoka series and Skeleton Crew this year, and that's it for 2023. Next year, you're going to have, like I said before, Acolyte and of course, Andor Season 2, as well as one more Star Wars show that is currently unannounced that will be unveiled this September, so keep your eyes open for that. Now, moving onwards. This comes after, of course, the Lucasfilm emergency meeting that took place between many members of the Lucasfilm story group and other members following Disney's budgeting limitations for the next 3 years to prevent further loss of revenue, and also Bob Iger's cost containment plan. Favreau is said to hold another proposal with Disney next month for a second attempt to up the budget. However, it's looking unlikely at this whole fiasco is causing much drama for Favreau and the 4th season of Mando over at Lucasfilm. Dave Filoni is also said to be preparing to speak up to Disney alongside Favreau for the next meeting about budgeting constraints for projects, and will be taking a stand alongside Jon to make his points stronger to the higher-ups. Disney, however, is ready to replace Favreau if they cross that bridge, if his ultimatum keeps up. Now, look, if Favreau wants to keep a job, you know, I think that many people may very well argue that maybe he should just try to do his thing, but you know what? In a way, I kind of like how he's taking a stand against Disney and saying, I want to do things my way, and I need that funding, I need that budget to make it possible. And if you're not going to give it to me, I'm walking out. I respect Jon Favreau at least for doing that. I really do, because Disney has lost its mind. They don't learn from their failures. I don't think that they get the idea that it's still possible to create a big success or a successful project following a major failure. It's very much possible. If you put your mind to it, if you have good writers, a good story, good character development, following no agendas or none of that nonsense, then you're fine, you're golden. That's all it really takes, common sense, right? And so it can be done, and that's what Favreau is all about. That's what he chases. But Disney, you know, really limits his capability. They did that with Season 3 of Mando because of Kathy Kennedy taking control of that script, even though she wasn't involved in principal photography. When you're involved in the script, the damage is already done. The only good news about Mando 4 is that Jon and Dave are on their own, at least for that project. But a lot of projects have been canceled by Disney. We're going to be covering exactly which ones were specifically, and how a lot of them were Mandoverse era projects. So, anyways guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.